Alright guys, tonight we're going to be looking at the Topping L50 headphone amplifier. This was sent to me by APOS. That's about the only place I'm doing or getting product from right now. I don't really accept anything from anyone else right now because I just don't have time to really review a whole lot of stuff right now, and APOS is just super easy and super friendly. It's just easy to, they're probably the easiest one to do this with. And like always, I don't get to keep any of this. They just send it to me. I get to try it out for a little bit, and then it's got to go back. And but I do like getting stuff from them because, of course, now the air turns on. But just got tired of trying to find this kind of stuff only on Amazon and stuff, and finally a good, solid, honest website came around that sells a lot of this stuff, and the 45-day money back guarantee, the price matching, the free tech support. It's all great. It's a great place to shop for this kind of stuff. So honestly, it is what it is. It's just a good place to buy this kind of stuff. So I don't mind, doing a shout out for them. I always appreciate a company that makes the customer experience better. And anyway, this is like a lot of the other topping stuff they've sent me. It's I'll get to it later, but it's getting kind of odd to keep reviewing some of this stuff. But we'll do the rundown real quick. This is the L50 headphone amplifier, which is the matching headphone amplifier to the E50 DAC, which I just previously did a review on as well. Obviously they sent me a silver one. I didn't really ask for colors. They send me the stuff for free, so I try not to gripe too much, or I'm just grateful that they send stuff. So the black and silver actually isn't bad. I don't mind. I actually think I like it better. A little change it up a little bit. I think it comes in black, red, silver, maybe blue. Comes in a couple colors. But yeah, it's just like all the other stuff. Nice, aluminum case, rubber feet, well made. It's got good weight to it. Just a nice unit. Very small. I think it's a little smaller than what was it, the A30 D30 I did, or stack. I don't think they were quite as deep necessarily. Maybe they were a little wider, but these do seem a little smaller. So they're not going to take up a ton of space on a desk. I mean, they don't have to be a desktop system. Here's a basic 25-foot tape measure. So they're pretty small. They're not huge. My hands aren't that big. My hands easily cover this thing. So let's get on to the front here. Nice volume knob. Finally, they added a little notch here, a little indicator, so you know where the volume is, because these are analog volumes. They don't digitally reset to 0 or to a lower level when you turn them off. So like I've always said, you get have a few too many one night and leave this thing cranked up, and then come around the next day or a couple days later and put your headphones on and put something on and it about blows your head off. So it's kind of nice to have those indicators, so you can. It's very, very minimal. I honestly wish it was a little more than that. If I had my way, I wish it had the old little LED indicator like the old stereo receivers used to have. But it's there, I guess, so it's better than nothing. To kind of let you know that this thing's not turned down or it's turned way up, whatever. And then 1/4 inch or same as 6.35 millimeter large headphone jack, and then obviously an adapter down to 3.5 millimeter balanced, and then your low, medium, high switch, and they're nice metal switches like always. Off, powered off. This thing would focus. Off, balanced, and SE is single-ended or RCA. There. Nothing, no venting. It does get a little warm if you're cranking on it for quite a while, but nothing crazy, no big deal. Moving on to the back. I don't remember if the D30 and A30 had XLR or if it was these TRS, but these are TRS balanced. jacks, and it's basically the same thing as a quarter-inch headphone jack. It's the same thing. You see quite a bit of TRS used with like music equipment, pro audio. Obviously XLR is using pro audio, but TRS, what is it, like switch panels? Obviously like guitars, keyboards. There's all kinds of stuff in the pro audio recording world, or studio, whatever you want to say, that does use balanced TRS, and I prefer them because they are a smaller version of balance, and I think that helped them reduce the footprint on these by using TRS instead of XLR. So as things move forward, I hope more audio companies switch to this balance if you use balance. The downside is if you do have other balance stuff, say studio monitors or other equipment that uses balance but has XLR, to integrate it with this kind of stuff, then you're going to need to get XLR to TRS cables or adapters. But anyway, and then here's your single-ended or your RCA unbalanced input. And then over here you have pass-through, which is kind of a nice thing. I think they did these on A30 D30 as well, and I think they do it on some of the other topping stuff. But basically what that is when this is turned off, whatever you had feeding into this, which would typically be your E30 DAC, gets passed through. This is turned off, and the signal, I think it comes out both. It might even be able to run both at the same time. So if this ran to a power amp and this ran to something, or these ran to a power amp and then the single-ended ran to something else, I think you can feed out both at the same time. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But it's kind of nice if you have this on your desk or your studio desk and you monitor with your headphones. Say you're in balance, you're monitoring with your headphones, and then the DAC comes into this and then goes out these TRS to a set of studio monitors, and you listen with your headphones and you're like, okay, now I want to run it on the monitors. You can switch this to off and it'll shut your headphones off, and the signal will be passed on now to your studio monitors, and then, or whatever you have it connected to, and then when you're done with that, switch this back to balance, run it, listen to it on your headphones. So it makes it real easy with the flip of a switch to push that signal onto something else, and basically go back and forth. It is really easy. And then power cord. It came with probably the most robust, heavy power adapter. This thing is like a couple pounds. It must just be a giant, just a big inductor in there or something. I don't know. Yeah. And I remember when a lot of these Chinese audio products started coming around. I don't know if it was specifically topping or SMSL, but just a lot of them initially, the power bricks or wall warts, whatever you want to call it, came with them. They weren't always the best. They're kind of light and cheesy in the early days, or some of them didn't even come with power bricks. They just ran off a cell phone charger. But it's good to see that as the quality of these go up, and I think they didn't have a choice to keep increasing the quality of the audio, the fidelity or whatever that they're pushing out of these. To get to that level, you have to have a good power supply. So it's nice to see that they're shipping these with seems to be really good power supplies to get good clean power. And this up here, this little USB-C, the FW, is for firmware. So now and then you can check the topping website and see if they release firmware updates for these or not. Surprisingly, I guess the DAC doesn't need one because it has its own USB connected to the computer, so you'd firmware upgrade through that. But since this is a dumb analog piece of gear, it doesn't have a USB interface, so they've had to add a way to upgrade the firmware. I can't imagine. Not exactly sure what firmware you would upgrade in this, but maybe there's something. So yeah, you get a lot of options, like all the other topping stuff, and all these videos I do, it all start to kind of run together and sound same. They all have metal construction. They're all well made. They have good features, nice, smooth volume knobs. Nice switches. They look nice. I do like this aesthetic better than the A30 D30. I like this new look. I mean, I like the other ones too, but if I had to choose, I would go with this one. It's great. Now, where I start to agree with a lot of the other people that have reviewed these is it's getting harder to review a lot of this stuff. Sabage, topping, SMSL. I'm sure I'm forgetting, was it LoxG or whatever? Some of these companies run together, some of them are separate, but they are getting the numbers they are getting to, the engineering they're doing, the signal to noise ratio unbalanced, 140, and dynamic, just ridiculous. The THD plus noise is, there's what, 4 zeros there, 5 zeros. It's just incredible. I mean, they're not quite to the dynamic range you would need for 24-bit. I think that's 144 dB, which it doesn't matter. Your ears, that would blow your ears out. But either way, the level of how the distortion is so low, so clean. From the last generation to the next one, they're basically adding another zero in there. It's 0.007 to 0.00007 to 0.0000007. It's just getting ridiculously good. I mean, to the point where you can't, unless there's some sort of sound signature difference, whether for the way they design it, whether it sounds a little more warm, a little more sterile. Most of the topping stuff is all very neutral. Like, it basically just reproduces exactly what you feed into it. It doesn't really color the signal at all. Obviously with that many zeros in the THD plus noise and SYNAD and all that, it's not really adding any audible distortion or anything at all. So yeah, it's just the levels they're getting to are ridiculous. Even the power output on this thing, for the money, I don't remember the prices of them offhand, but they're a good deal for what you get. The quality of audio and the power output. The price on these, sorry, I don't remember the price, but the what you're getting for power at just super high levels of dynamic range, signal noise ratio, SYNAD, all that is just incredible. And the problem with that is, they keep getting better over the years, but like 2 generations ago or whatever, they were already to a point it was inaudible levels of whatever distortion, SYNAD, all that. It was already getting so high. I can't remember what the Harman research says, but something around most people cannot really distinguish. How do they put it? Like repetitively cannot distinguish much beyond a audio gear with a SYNAD of 70. So once you start getting beyond that, most people, unless you really have an ear for it or something, you're not going to be able to tell much. And then it also, other things that factor in is just the quality of your source and how well it was recorded and how it was recorded, blah blah blah. So there's a ton of factors that go in there other than just these really good numbers. But when I listen to this one, this stack versus the A30 D30 stack, I think if I had them side by side, blind test, I probably couldn't tell the difference between the two. So it's not a knock on topping, but their stuff is getting so good. The high end numbers, from a year or two ago, what was it, like the 90 series, the high end stuff, though that level of performance is trickling down into this, and that level of performance is already so good. Unless you need specific features of the higher quality stuff, the sound quality from this to the next tier up, even to the tier behind this in one series lower, because this is a 50 series. I did the A30 D30 series, which was a series older and lower than this, and they all sound the same because they're just getting so good. So for me, I'm like some of these other YouTubers. Where's Topping going with this? Because kudos, they have crunched the numbers, and they've done the math, whatever, and figured out all the engineering, and have made really great progress in a very short amount of time for people that really care about these numbers. You want equipment that has incredible measurements and numbers. They've gotten there very quickly. I'd almost say too quickly. So where does that leave them to go in the future? More unique options, same good stuff, but maybe lower price. I don't know. Um, but if you don't already have a nice topping stack or something, this would be a great place to start. Like I said, you're getting a ton of power. I don't have any 600 ohm. I have 300 and down stuff. Everything I hooked to it was more than enough. I did have to go up to medium gain, but everything else, low and medium were plenty of power. So I agree with what other people said. This stack or this amplifier should be able to power about anything you plug into it. And the other thing you're paying for is that much power. That power is clean to the top. You can crank this thing all the way up, and it's not like a crappy amplifier where it starts to, lose its composure and get dirty and distortiony when you start to push it. These things, the past toppings, this one, I'm sure the more expensive ones, part of what you're paying for is you're getting that incredible performance all the way to the top. You can crank this thing up. It's squeaky clean and natural all the way to the top. It's just, and that's usually one of the main things you pay for with amplification is an amplifier that can push a lot of power very cleanly and, not lose its composure when you start pushing on it too hard. So, yeah, like I said, as far as just listening to it, I run through a lot of the same tracks I do with the other ones. You put this side by side with some of the more recent, possibly SMSL, and the main one that comes to mind is the A30, D30 I did. I don't know if I could, for certain, tell a difference in sound quality. But that's not a bad thing, because all these sound quality has gotten so good that these are so clean, you start to hear all the imperfections and everything else you're hearing is from your source, the music, because when your DAC and your amp are so clean and you have really good headphones, you start to hear deeper into all the little details of the music, and then you start to realize some of your favorite songs, weren't recorded so well, or a lot of popular songs are recorded for the masses, so they're full of compression and all kinds of weird equalization, just stuff to make them sound good on any radio, and but then you also get to sample some of the higher end, HD audio, 24-bit audio, whatever. I was gonna say this is like a lot of other stuff. They market the DACs and stuff up to 32-bit 384 for some reason. These specs, and I like how they give you the measurements. And for most people, it probably doesn't mean much, but it just goes to show they did measure it. Where is it at? Yeah, right here. The frequency response of this amplifier is only up to 40 kilohertz, which nobody can hear past probably really 18, maybe 20 if you're really good. But when you get into like HD audio, 24-bit, 192, 96, 88.2, if you're listening to 24 192 on files or whatever, that, because of the Nyquist theorem, that sampling rate of 192, you should be able to reproduce signals up to around it'd be the 88.2 or 88,000 hertz, or 88 kilohertz. Nobody obviously can hear that high, so even like I believe this DAC and this amp both have a maximum analog range of 40 kilohertz or 40,000 hertz. In sampling world, that's only 88.2 kilohertz, so it'd be 24/88. So if you're doing 24 96, 24 192, these can't even reproduce that. They can't technically reproduce that full 24-bit. They get close. They're getting up there. 24-bit, I think, is 144 dB of dynamic range. And then even on the frequency, what the analog can actually put out is not, not 80,000 hertz. It's only 40, so which they can do that, and people can speculate and say whatever they want, but when it comes down to it, you can't hear it, so you can't really tell the difference anyway. Arguably, what it affects in the frequency range that you can hear, fine, I don't know, whatever. But a lot of that airy top end or whatever, the supposedly it's captured frequencies, out to 40,000 hertz, 80,000 hertz, whatever. It's again, it's just numbers. What was I gonna say? Even if the source you have is 100% true 24-bit 192, even this stuff, it can't fully reproduce it. Your headphones won't either, but this stuff is measured and proven to put down those numbers, that it actually can do it. And you're still not going to get it with this. So, and this stuff is far cheaper than a lot of the audio jewelry brands out there that are designed and engineered in the mountains of Japan and blessed by a monk, and 24 karat gold plated and full copper chassis, blah 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 blah. There's not one freaking measurement with it, but it can do 24-bit audio, whatever. But sorry, I'm rambling about audio again. But anyway, it's late. I'm very tired. That's why I'm rambling. If you're looking for a solid little headphone amp stack, as usual, topping is always a rock solid option with, just incredible measurements, incredible performance. Like I said, the sound signature on this, even though the numbers are super clean, it's super flat, it's not sterile and empty. It seems like, to me, it just takes whatever you feed into it and amplifies it. So if your source is warm and nice, that's the way it was recorded, that's what comes out the headphones, basically. So for that, I give it an A+, and I think that's going to be it. Good night, guys.